Alright, let's get this party started. I'm Bruce Triggs, and I'm the author of this book, Accordion Revolution, A People's History of the Accordion in North America, from the Industrial Revolution to rock and roll. And it came out last year, and I thought I'd do a reading for everybody who's staying home. So we'll just get right started. Got my one less guitar bookmark. Keep that handy. And we're going with the preface. Reopening the accordion case. There is an accordion-shaped hole in the history of popular music. This book charts the rise and fall of this missing squeeze box from its birth in the Industrial Revolution until its popular explosion and dramatic collapse in the mid-20th century. As the instrument returns from obscurity today, it's time to reclaim this history. Accordions arrived in North America in the arms of immigrants and intermixed with just about every culture on the continent. Popular music embraced them from the beginning. Accordionists stepped on stage in some of the first minstrel shows and continued all the way to the opening days of rock and roll. They appeared in big band orchestra in the 1940s and in ethnic groups across the Midwest. They backed Hollywood movies and a broadcast weekly on the Grand Ole Opry. No genre is secure from the squeezebox invasion. Like the electronic and digital revolutions to come, the accordion changed the culture of music. Less experienced players could and did drown out the masters of other instruments who couldn't compete with the mass-produced newcomer. Accordions were everywhere, and marginalized populations often led their expansion. Women, African Americans, European immigrants, Mexican Americans, and working-class people of all ethnicities embraced the instrument. Their joys, struggles, and refusal to be silenced are at the core of the accordion's story. A few well-known names appear in this book, but the vast majority of the artists who spurred the accordion's popularity are unknown today. Instead, you'll find new and unfamiliar tales from genres you may already love. We also delve into origins of once obscure styles like Zydeco and Irish traditional music that have gained international attention and helped restore the accordion's reputation with modern listeners. The squeezebox reached people in all corners of the continent, from Inuit musicians in Canada's Arctic to West Coast session players recording TV commercials. In Annie Proulx's 1996 novel Accordion Crimes, great book, watch out, everybody dies. A little green accordion travels through 100 years of comical, poignant, and occasionally brutal history. Many people play it as it passes through one immigrant culture after another. Accordions enriched North America and reflect the dramatic changes over the last century and a half that shaped music, people, and the world. This book is arranged roughly chronologically with sections divided by culture and genre. Part 1 is the dawn of the Accordion Revolution. It describes how the instrument was born and raised until it was old enough to head out on its own. It also introduces the absurd variety of instruments within the accordion family. Absurd. Part 2, the Golden Age, recalls the half-century when accordions were stars rather than punchlines, when they commanded stages, screens, and hit records, and when millions of people welcomed them into their homes. Part 3, Roots Music, an outsider's canon, delves into genres that stayed true to the accordion, while the mainstream forgot it. It reveals why Zydeco, Irish music, Jewish klezmer, and Texas-Mexican border accordions have become key to the instrument's revival of popularity. Part 4, American Wheeze, an alternative prehistory of rock, explores the accordion's role in the origins of what became rock and roll. Here you'll find African American windjammers, legions of little-known country music accordionists, and an only slightly tongue-in-cheek expose of the folk revival's attempt to suppress the squeeze box in the mid-60s. Part 5, The Accordion Exile in the Age of Rock. The final section relates the dramatic story of the accordion's downfall. We examine the cascade of causes that united to banish the instrument from the spotlight for 4 decades. Finally, we briefly introduce the accordion revival of the late 20th and early 21st centuries, starting in lively ethnic music communities, see Part 3, the Outsider's Canon that we talked about, followed by more and more eruptions into popular music. After its long dormancy, it's a fascinating time for the accordion in North America. In the 1980s, the instrument began a slow, steady re-insinuation and has stealthily penetrated the worlds of folk, rock, electronica, and even hip-hop. Young singer-songwriters are creating new accordion music based on pop and punk models. Skilled ethnic classical and jazz players are using the instrument to display their chops. Accordion music is more diverse than at any time in its history. Our goal is to share the backstory of this vibrant renaissance. This book shrank as it grew. It started as a short beginner's guide to historic and modern accordionists around the world. As the manuscript expanded to more than 700 pages, the focus had to narrow to North America. Material for a volume on modern artists split off and may follow. Due to time constraints and my own limitations, many significant artists and areas of the accordion world didn't find their way into these pages. Experts especially may be unsatisfied with the depths I've dedicated to particular styles and regions. I even belatedly realized I'd overlooked several entire accordion genres and cultures within the bounds of North America. For example, the Bach's Triquitisha button accordion reached rural areas of the American West, where it emerged in Bernardo Ataxia's 2003 novel, The Accordionist's Son, which I don't have a copy of, sorry. But you can get it from your library. Good stuff. An entire other book needs to be written on accordion music from the Caribbean. Merengue Típico, with its blazing button accordion, has a strong presence in the Dominican communities in the eastern U.S. and Canada. Puerto Rico's plena tradition similarly arrived in cities like New York and joined the instrument's rich heritage. I humbly apologize for neglecting these and other areas. Next up, Part 1, The Dawn of the Accordion Revolution. Oh, footnotes. Cool. I did an annotated version because there was like 200 pages of footnotes, which would have made the book like that much bigger, and nobody wants to carry around a brick. It would be intimidating for people. If you set it in like the bathroom, they would be like, nah, I'm not reading that, even then. So I got a version that has 200 pages of footnotes that I hope to somehow share. But I got my computer over here, and I'm going to just run through the footnotes afterwards. First one, after I talk about Annie Proulx's book, Accordion Crimes, worthwhile. Then I go through overall, when historians write a book that's a history book about a thing, in this case, this instrument, if they focus on mundane objects, there's books about rubber tires, chocolate, salt around the world, the historical influence of living things like rats or codfish. Great book on codfish. It's known as materials culture or object history or even thing theory. Ooh. And the accordion hasn't been as influential as codfish, but as we follow it through time, it does reveal a surprisingly rich history. Kurlansky is the author who's written Salt and Cod, a biography of the fish that changed the world. Those are kind of like the goal to write. If you're writing about an object, you want it to be as influential as those. Oh, American Wheeze. We talked about that when we talk about rock and roll accordion and other things that kind of led into rock and roll, basically black music and country music and sort of the folk revival. That's my take. The title American Wheeze is from a song from David Eugene Edwards and the band 16 Horsepower from their Sackcloth and Ashes record. Great record. You see him up there. It's on YouTube, him playing that at like a metal concert, and it's really intense. Let's see, what else do we got here? Oh yeah, I wanted to do a technical section in the book where it would talk about like how to mic your accordion and what accordions are made of and all the different parts of an accordion. We'll talk about this later, but George Botchitz has written a book called The Accordion what is it? George Botchitt's book, The Piano Accordion Owner's Manual and Buyer's Guide, is really highly recommended. It's got all the information about how accordions work and how to buy an accordion and what kind of an accordion you want. And so this is a great book. Tells you about all the stuff you might want and need. So definitely recommend Piano Accordion's Buyer Guide. He wrote this so I didn't have to include it as an extra section on the end of mine. You can buy it separately. Well worth it. So what else do we do? I talked about the Caribbean accordion and how I wish I had a section on Caribbean accordion and the Dominican accordion, merengue típico and stuff. And Sydney Hutchinson has written a bunch of stuff on that. And she, I believe, is working on a book about all the Caribbean accordion traditions, which would be fantastic. And I'm totally looking forward to that coming out. I think that's about it for this section, for the footnote version. And thanks for tuning in, I suppose. I'm going to put this up, and we'll see how long it takes to read this. I gave myself a trim often on the cover of the book or whatever. I've got sort of a beard going on, and we'll see how long it takes to read the book and how long we're stuck inside, and you get to watch my beard grow, and hopefully we'll get it done, and we'll all take care. So thanks, good night.